good. Alright, started. Karaoke?
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here this evening at this particular session called The Role of the Military in American Society. Tonight we have three amazing panelists. We've got Sam Robb, our Pennsylvania Western Vice Chair and former presidential candidate. We also have Neil Linde, better known as the Cajun Libertarian. And we also have Luke Moyer, former National Guard and Girl Scout program extraordinaire in Lycoming County. You know and you love them, and here are all three of them. Ladies and gentlemen, the role of the American military in our society. Thank you, Joe. I feel like the three amigos. Yeah. Ole. Yep, love Joe's introduction, especially Monday morning weekend. Five, coach. That's right. So, the role of the military in modern day America, the role of the military philosophically in America. Where are we at?
Philosophically, I think we're starting to see the citizenry start to turn the corner somewhat. I think the vast majority of Americans do want us out of foreign intervention, right? I think the vast majority of American citizens want the troops here. And so I think that's really going to take us far, is to have the people recognize that this is not what we want our troops doing, and then we're looking here. And then we need to move from that ideology and start to implement that into policy.
I think actually Noah makes a really good point. We need to distinguish between what the military is and what it means to American society versus how it's used. Because it's pretty obvious that it's been abused, misused, used in horrible ways, particularly if you look over the last 20 years. We've got the war in Afghanistan, but I think we ended that. Was it open up to drink? I think it was close to pretty close. It could slip into the bar with its buddies, right? And for really, I mean, back when I was running for president last year, or whatever. That basically the report came out, nobody knew why we were in Afghanistan. They just didn't know, hey, it's just something that we've done for the last 18 years, and we're going to continue doing it because, you have to admit that you screwed up because you don't want to do it. So I think there's a distinction between how the military is misused and what the role of the profit of that military is in American society. Personally, I look at the American military, we're a volunteer military, and I think that that's one of the most libertarian things that our government does. We support the right to keep and bear arms as libertarians, right? We want to, I wouldn't go so far as recreational use. I consider those environmental hazards, but certainly private cannon, own its camp if you want. The idea of the citizen soldier is something that is very ingrained in American society, and to join the military, as a lot of people do, with the idea that hey, I want to protect my fellow citizens. That's a very noble cause. It's a very noble thought, right? So I think we have to be careful when we start talking about the role of the military in society to acknowledge that in a lot of ways we start off in a very positive place, and the fact that we end up going someplace dark is not because of the men and women who are serving, but the politics and the politicians that are used this stuff. Absolutely. We come to a point where the U.S. military is almost really nothing to do with the U.S. We don't do anything in the U.S. We don't protect the U.S. We're protecting, let's say, corporate investment, for the best term there, overseas in the Middle East, primarily. And I think that being what it has become, if we don't backtrack a little bit, and we don't get back to where we need to be, which is an American army that protects America, then we're going to end up being with them, other than the military. They might as well call the war.
Yeah, so I think most of us in this room agree that we need to be bringing people home and a lot of this foreign intervention and stuff. That's a lot of violence in the military. And then the military also preys on, 18-year-olds looking for a way that don't have anything to offer, and recruiters really push to get people joining the military. So, is there a way to replace that, or just bring tens of thousands of people back to this country and what? I mean,
Right. Yeah, and that's a great. I love you're touching on the predatory recruiting there. That's a real thing. It's a very real thing. And we did the military panel, Spike and I, a couple of other people the other night on there. Here's the thing when it comes to what we're talking about. There's a distinct difference between foreign intervention in hostile territories and having a nice exchange of commerce in a foreign country, right? There's no reason like we can't have a base in Germany. There's no threat there, right? We're not at war there. That's just a free exchange of commerce and currency. There is the added effect of that, we have these incurable bases all around the country, all around the world, so that we can have launching pads from closer distance, right? And so then we can have, in that, we can dovetail off into the conversation of whether or not any other armies, foreign armies, could actually even get to this country. Right? That's a big argument to have because everybody wants to play China as the boogeyman. But in reality, China's aircraft carriers couldn't even make it here. Right? So what is the reasoning behind having all of the foreign bases? Well, it's going to be for commerce, exchange of goods, and helping develop that country's economy through U.S. military forces that are there. So that's not going to change, right? We're not just going to, let's just say, the military took over the government tomorrow. Bring all the troops home. We would bring all the troops home that were in hostile territories immediately, right? Because the military's sole obligatory duty is to protect the United States citizens. That's their number one priority. That is the last thing that's being done right now, right? And so we could bring all of them home. We wouldn't bring all of them home. We would bring the ones that are in hostile territory that actually have a threat to their lives and the lives of the people that they're in the country with. We just did this last week. They drone strike foreign combatants and killed no foreign combatants. They just killed kids. Right? So again, like we just talked about the relationship between cop and U.S. citizens, when we can mitigate, however, the amount of interactions that we have around the world, then you're going to immediately mitigate the amount of deaths, destruction, and just the absolute military industrial complex that we have right now. And so that would be, if I was supreme dictator tomorrow, that's what I would do. I would continue to allow our bases that are in foreign countries to allow their goods and services to be exchanged. But if you're anywhere near a hostile situation that is not a direct threat to the American citizenship, then we have no business being there. That's where my anti-interventionism basically lives and dies. There's no reason for us to be involved in that if it's not a direct threat to them.
That's kind of a slippery slope, though. Whenever you say no direct threat to the U.S. citizen, well, what we do is we take U.S. citizens and we put them in situations in which they're threatened, and then we justify going to put our soldiers there. So at that point, it comes down to, for me, it's a yes or no. We're there in Germany and everywhere else in the world, or we're not. We don't need to be there. There's no military need for us to be in Germany, so why do we have the military there? If we want commerce, the affection in Germany, we work that out economically with them, but let the military out. We don't need the military to do that. Just bring them all home. Have it decommission it. Coming at this from a little bit of a different perspective, and having been in the Navy, power projection is one of those things that you worry about in the military. And I think this is why we need to maintain military forces, maintain a military skill set, if you want to call it that, even if it's not as large as it is right now, is because, for example, you don't want, if you're not sketching outside, you don't want a bunch of people showing up and going, okay, instruction step 1 is being a fireman, this is how you do it. No, you've got an emergency, you need a trained professional to deal with it. I look at the military the same way. If something goes down, right, if you do have Chinese aircraft carrier that lifts all the way over to the West Coast and starts launching missiles, you want to be able to react to that. But with the Navy, one of their policies there is keep the sea lanes open. That's one of the principles that they have, because controlling sea lanes traditionally controls commerce, controls wealth. And that, in a lot of ways, I see some of our bases overseas, not the ones in Afghanistan, like we were saying, one country is where we're not welcome, but places like Germany are, I keep it going, like my kids at my granddad's house, my dad's house, right? I keep it at my girl's grandfather's house, my father-in-law, because I go out there sometimes. And that's just, it's more convenient for me to have that there. And one of the things I think we look at our bases in Germany and whatnot, and say, why are we there? Well, because if something happens, it's more convenient for us to have the forces there. It doesn't mean it doesn't have to be a huge base. It doesn't have to be a center of commerce or anything like that. But I think, like I said, we have to kind of differentiate between, hey, what are these troops used for? What are these bases used for? And how have they been abused? And maybe you could, get some people in it, militarians in the office who are willing to look and ask those questions and say, hey, okay, do we need this? Or is this something that's past its time? I know there's probably bases that we have by treaty that's just like, what? There's no reason for this anymore. This was designed to fight a threat that was 50 years old by the time I was born. Why do we still have this? That's right.
So, I don't mean to keep asking the same question, but, if we keep the same size population of the military, and we train these people to be basically fighting machines, and we give them, we spend trillions and billions of dollars on the best money as possible on training them, we're going to find excuses to use them. So, find a way to either preoccupy the millions of people that you have in the military, or find a way to start downsizing the military, maybe leave us a little bit more vulnerable to protecting the
I think it's a natural digression as well. Far less people are joining the military right now than they did 10 years ago, 20 years ago.
And Mark, I think the answer for you is, Steve, if I remember correctly, you were National Guard, right? That's really what the purpose, at least as far as I understand, the purpose of the National Guard is to, hey, we've got some people, they train in this, they're not 100% full-time professionals. Just like we've got our house burned down a couple of years ago. We had a bunch of fire departments there. All of them were volunteers. All of them spent time training. All of them took time and learned how to be firefighters so that they could help us when there was a time of need, right? But it wasn't their full-time profession. We've unfortunately taken a lot of National Guard people and activated them for temporary training overseas for 4 years, right? And turned them into full-time troops. When really, that is the idea. If you have a group of people, a part-time military, that was willing to say, okay, here we go, we're here, we're ready to train, we can come up to speed if we need to. You still have to keep a core, right? You still have to have people that know, okay, day to day how things operate, keep things running, but you can cut the military down significantly because we're not constantly going overseas, because we're not constantly fighting wars, and you remove that, we've got 100,000 Marines sitting around, why don't we do something with them? Because those 100,000 Marines aren't always sitting around. They're also living their lives. And,
Yeah, price tag's not gonna change.
That's part of the problem here. We, as the U.S., spend as much on our military for the next 12, 13 countries combined. Are we planning on going to war with the next 12 to 13 countries? Because if not, then we need to scale that down a little bit. We need to get a control, which involves, in my mind, as far as I'm concerned, we have a perfect military, it would be strictly National Guard, because that's what we need to do, is guard the nation. And if it's not our nation, then let them do what they're going to do. If they attack our nation, then we have a quasi-trained force ready to go. That philosophically, in my military mind, would be exactly what we need. And it should never be discounted that Americans have guns for a reason. We've all heard the famous Japanese general quote, you can't invade mainland USA with a gun we have everywhere in the grass. That's a principle of our country that makes it, you cannot invade. We're uninvadable because of that principle.
And our
registered gun owners in the United States is bigger than our own military.
Our 10 military world combined.
Yeah.
More U.S. citizens have guns than the top 10 world military combined. So there is no foreign country that will ever step foot on this soil and want to smoke. Never. So that begs the case. That's the case, then it should naturally lead us into, okay, so why do we want to do this? Right? Why did we go over to Afghanistan? Because the terrorist attack, let's just assume, right, the narrative is what they say. So some terrorists blew up the World Trade Center, and we went over there to kill terrorists and stop them from doing that. What was the first thing you heard the Bush administration say when you started this campaign? We are not in the business of nation building. And then what did you do between us? And what did the result? You handed the country right back to the same regime you took it from in the first place. Right, so that's part of what I think there's a large red pilling going on in our country when it comes to foreign intervention and foreign war. Specifically, is that we see now, and we have receipts, the internet provides a lot of this for us. Right? We can go back and watch the Bush admin stuff. We can watch the Obama admin stuff, the Trump admin. It's all the same language from all the generals. Now we have that. If you don't know about the Afghanistan papers, the Waco actually put out, go read it. It's freaking phenomenal. It's phenomenal. The language they've used for the last 20 years is never correct. It was never honest. It was always a lie. It started as a lie and then ceased to be a lie. We were there. Wars were fought for resources. Period. We could have went over there and bombed all of Afghanistan and went right back home 2 weeks later. Right? And then we would have effectively done exactly what they wanted to do in the first place. We stayed there because the wars were started the resources that we wanted the resources that Afghanistan had. We wanted to ally in the Middle East right there. We wanted to be able to launch military base right out of Afghanistan for the next 18 billion years. The problem with that is that it's not possible. Not with that country. Afghanistan's a black hole of empire. And there's many reasons for that. Number one, they're not nationalists. Right? We are. Americans as a whole are like, proud to be an American. Protect American country. They're not that. They'll never be that. They're never have been that. They're tribal. They don't care about Afghanistan. They care about their tribe. I'm not saying this is a derogatory to America. I'm just saying this is never going to work. You're never going to win that war. Right? And again, speaking to Rob and Luke's point, you can have a skeleton crew of active duty Marines, active duty military, just like we had for the last 18 months in Afghanistan, where we didn't lose one combat, we didn't lose one soldier in combat since February 2020. Right? We had 25 Marines that locked down the whole country. You had skeleton crew there. You can easily effectively do the same thing in the United States. Skeleton crew of active duty military, and then the 90+% will on reserve and rotate. And if there are people, I'm not advocating for that, by the way, I'm just saying I understand the system. You can still maintain that system without employing bases and exchanging commerce. That's not really why they do it. They do it so that they can launch war conveniently. They don't have to travel the globe to do it. I can just launch right out of Japan and tag China. You know what I'm saying? That's what it's for. And I'm just saying, that effectively, you can still run the same gambit of having our bases overseas doing the resources and the commerce with a majority reserve in and out rotation.
The wonderful thing about being American, we don't have to defend any other country anyway. We're leaders. Diplomatic, yeah.
No.
I think that, something you said, made me think, I don't know, you guys, you follow Canadian China at all? He's a ex-Navy guy, and he is brutal about the military and taking them down for basically not being on mission. Yeah. And one of the things that he gets into, and I read a lot about, more and more these days, is the politicization of the military. And that's something that you get when you have this expanded military. You've got the military. Now you've got people who are making careers, and you get to a certain point. Let's be honest. You get to 05, 06, right? You want to advance. You gotta have the right politics. You have to have the right connections. So that means we stop making military decisions. Our military leaders stop being military leaders and start being political leaders. And I think that's part of the reason that we're in a situation, for example, in Afghanistan, because you see military leaders making decisions politically. If I say that the war in Afghanistan is senseless, I'm killing my career. I am basically taking a knife to my throat and cutting my career short. This 20 years, 25 years that I've put into it. So having this expanded military, really has led us down the path of, okay, we're supposed to have a military that is under civilian control, but it also should not be a military that is making decisions that are politically based instead of strategically based.
So, I never served or anything, but I think your statements are a little bit naive. I think part of the problem is we have to be honest about what these wars are about. I mean, it's pretty clear what the war in Iraq is, what the war in Afghanistan, Syria, all these wars that we're fighting have been about.
Resources.
For all the years.
Resources. It's always resources.
It's always pretty dramatic. I mean, there's a lot of underlying issues, obviously, people like fund all these military contracts like that. But, yeah, we're not fighting the wars in Afghanistan because the leaders believe that this is some kind of holy mission for our country.
No, I don't think that was what he was attempting to say. I think what he was saying was that the leaders get to a point where it's 100% political. There's no more principle to their decision making. So once you get to that point, it's not about principles, it's not about right now, it's not about protecting America, it's about making happy the politician that can get you the next
I
election.
feel like a lot of conversations about the military is about most people know the intention of the war, but they kind of use it for the rally, you know?
I don't think they do. I think they are now. I think they're waking up to it now, but I don't think they do. I think if you track back to 9/11, it was 100%. Yeah, we're not going to attack Americans, and we're going to go over there, and we're going to slaughter you for it. And no country's ever going to do it again. And the vast majority of Americans believe that, supported that. I was there. Because I didn't understand what wars were fought for. Until you start looking at historically, wars were fought for one reason. And that's resources. And so they propagandized the entire thing from the time. Again, go check the Afghanistan papers. What happened was these generals and people would come back from Afghanistan and they would be interviewed by military personnel and government personnel. So it's classified information that's just been released. Right? And Michael Flynn, as much crap as he got and all that, I got a huge amount of respect for that dude after reading the Afghanistan papers. He never once made his word. Every time he came back from Afghanistan, he told the truth. He said, I don't know what they're talking about. Because they get on the news and they say, they use the same phraseology all the time. We're turning the corner, we're winning, we're doing this, we're doing. And he sat in every one of those interviews and said, that's a lie. We have no chance. We never stood a chance. We don't have a chance. We're not winning. We're getting destroyed, and we have no shot at ever winning this war unless we permanently occupy the country. But that's not what anybody else heard, is it? We all heard we're turning the corner. We're winning. We're going to be able to do this. We're going to build Afghanistan into this freedom-loving, democratic society. And we all believe that. Maybe not all of us, the vast majority of us, believe that. But it was never going to be that. And then they set their tone.
And now, during the age of information, there's no more hiding information. And that's probably one of the biggest things that's working against the powers that be. We have open internet, and they can't restrict that as far as they try. You can't stop the general public from getting the information you've been trying to hide and propagandize for the last 78 years, radio on. They've been trying to broadcast direct propaganda into people's heads, and now we have this age of information. Here we are. You can't hide the information from us anymore. We're going to find it. And that's what's happening. We're finding the information. We're seeing, Afghanistan was never about freedom. It was never about weapons of mass destruction. It was never about Osama bin Laden, Al-Qaeda, or the Taliban. It was about prosecuting oil. That's what happened. And there's a direct correlation to those two resources and everybody that benefited from the war. And then if we continue to go down the path of blindly reading everything we're told without having the ability to just Google something and get honest information, it's going to happen again. They're trying to do it right now, because we can't see a parallel between post 9/11 and the COVID-19 fear-mongering, the pride and patriotism, the emotional play that they do. But they're doing the exact same thing now that they did post 9/11. In post 9/11, they played off the patriotism, they played off the who was for the country, they played off the leader attack. But now here we are, 2020, that ship has sailed. We're all kind of aware of those stories. So now it's fear-mongering. Now we're going to fear. The ends are the same. The ends are the same. That's to manipulate people in a way that allows them to maximize their profitability. I think it's smart. Actually, you don't mention that. You know what? We never use research, right? One of the things that I think we kind of missed over the evolution of the last 20 years is that in political terms, the war itself is in the research. Every 2 years, right? Hey, we got people getting up for election. What are we going to do? We're Republican. We're going to talk about how we need to be strong on terrorism. I'm going to be supporting our troops. Hey, if you're a Democrat, we're going to talk about how I hate the war and I'm going to be bringing the troops on. At the end of the war, those go away. Those easy buttons to mobilize your base get taken away from you. So I mean, the fact that we actually use the youth in Afghanistan is amazing to me, because I think we really do that for the rest of my life. Because the war itself became the reason for the war. Not the resources, not the terrorism, not Al-Qaeda or the Taliban, but
hey, we have troops over there. You want to support the troops, right? Hey, we have troops over there. You want to bring the troops home, right? For 6 months up to the election, and everybody forgets about it for 18 months until the next election, and you probably people get to say the same thing.
Probably buys resources for 20%.
That's people. People. That's the number one resource. People. You can't morally, geopolitically buy people right now, right? Thank God. But you can recruit them, and you can give them money. I mean, effectively, the Afghanistan army was 300,000 strong. They didn't even fire a shot, right? Because they weren't getting a paycheck from them. Period. That's the reason they were part of the Afghanistan army. Not that they care about the nation of Afghanistan, but that they were collecting a paycheck from the United States government every week. And so when that stopped, so did the reason to pick up arms. That's why not one shot was fired from the Afghanistan army against the Taliban. It's never about that. It's about the United States recruiting the resources to be able to do things from Afghanistan what they like to do. And that's called war. And be the one's police, right? When it comes to interventionism, I had this question posed during the live stream. In China, this is funny, the person was like, what do you mean about China, Cajun? I'm like, what? How do I, what do you mean? And they're like, okay, well, let me ask you this. If China invaded Taiwan tomorrow, would it be our obligatory duty to step in? Right? Valid question from the vast majority of people in America. And my answer is no. Because what you're talking about is essentially, it would be like, if we wanted to go into Cuba and do our thing there, which basically just in the Gulf of Mexico, right? And we have ties and allies with Cuba. And we wanted to go in there and start a relationship with whatever that relationship looked like. And then we have somebody clear across the world coming and saying, no, you can't do that, right? So my answer to that would be, yes, let China, there's a plethora of answers to give there, but no, I would not stop China from invading Taiwan, because we're either anti-interventionism or we are promoting and promulgating these world peace. Now, there's a lot of avenues to take in regard to that. I know I got a little sidewalk there, I'm sorry, but I'm trying to use that as an analogy, right? We just pick this apart. And there's lots of ways, there's lots of there's laws regarding international trade of firearms that inhibit our ability to trade firearms with countries, right? So let's say instead of going to war on behalf of Taiwan, what if we just removed that and said, hey, Taiwan, look at all these badass weapons I got. Come get some. And if we make money, it makes our weapons better. Now the Taiwanese are armed and strapped. If they lose the war, they lose the war. Right? That's not our job. We strapped you, we made money, and it made our weapon systems better. Now it's on you to figure it out.
I'm going to jump on that, because that's actually a really good point. Exactly what we did in World War I, right up until we joined the war. We profited so much from World War I prior to our joining the war and trying to globalize the world. Whole other subject. But our privatization in World War I was, we're going to sell you arms. We're going to give you money. Our private banks are going to give you money, and we're going to sell you our munitions and our weaponry and everything we have. And America was just roaring from World War I. And it wasn't until after World War I whenever we decided to go the globalization route and use the nations, which we ultimately ended up not doing, but we still funded a lot of that. And that's what really started us down the path of where we are now. The Sykes and Picot in the Middle East, they chopped up the Middle East not by tribes, which is how the culture is viewed, but by imaginary lines that Sykes and Picot decided they were going to draw in the middle of the Middle East for the resources and how they're going to divide it up. And then Woodrow Wilson got his say for sure. If we look at the way we flourished during World War I, prior to our involvement in World War I, that's exactly what we should do. We should be armed here in Newport. We had 174,000 soldiers prior to anarchy. And then we ramped up our army and we never ramped back down. 174,000 soldiers is nothing. And that's exactly what we should have. Just enough, if something happens, we have some experience, and that's in the world. But at the point where Taiwan and China are going to war, don't let them. Let them do whatever they're going to do. That's not our fight. And I know that sounds callous, and we're taught as Americans to have this moral obligation to spread democracy, which is a fallacy. And but
We should probably have it here first.
What's that?
So we should probably have it here first.
We should have a work we're all going. But we have this moral, the fallacy that we have this moral duty, and it's ingrained into us as since we're children to be the world police, and that's not what we're supposed to do. That's not what our army's supposed to do. That's not what our country's supposed to do. No part of what we're doing right now as a military force throughout the entirety of the world is what we were supposed to do. And I mean, George Washington said it best when they don't have a standing army. You should believe that. You have people that are armed. You have a high of people that are armed in your citizenry that can protect your country and be loyal. And that's it. That's the rest of the world do. The rest of the world does.
You did with the comment about Taiwan, right? You guys have all seen the internet meme, right? There's a girl and next to her husband, and she said, he's thinking about it, and he's writing like, how can I run against the Taiwan, right? If you think about it, why can't we do that? It's because the government of the United States and the government of Taiwan say, no, we don't want you to do that. Taiwan, we don't want you bringing guns here. Guns are icky, guns are bad, right? The United States, yeah, we don't, if you go and try and involve yourself with a foreign power in a military sense, right, without the government's blessing, they'll come down on you like a ton of bricks. There'll be prison time, you get shot for treason if you're not careful, right? But what should happen, the ideal would be, we've got the National Guard, they're the guys that are ready to step up if they need to. We've got a small cadre of individuals who are professionals who help train them. And then citizens get to decide how they're going to help. Not the government, right? But if my goals are adopted from China, if I decide, you know what, Taiwan's important to me and to them, and I want to do something, I'm going to write a check and I'm going to buy all the weapons. Right? I should be able to do that. And I would be able to do that in a libertarian society if we weren't so hung up on making sure that only the military is allowed to use these weapons to participate in world affairs. That's really where we're at. You're allowed to spend your money, but only in certain clear ways, and you can't use your influence in the world unless it's in a government-approved way. And that's just nuts. That's why we're in the situation that we're in. Because we couldn't go over, we couldn't take 100,000 Americans, take up a collection, and ship off a crew of guys over to Afghanistan to take care of wipe out the battles. Oh man, we can't do that. We have to fight a 20-year war to make that happen. Private enterprise could have, it sounds bad, but it's true. Private enterprise could have done it faster, cheaper, and more efficient. Absolutely. That would be the point. Exactly. You're undercutting the government cause.
Yes, and it's exactly the reason why we don't do this with like the Taiwanese right now. It completely defeats the purposes of what the United States government is trying to do and has effectively done for many years, and that's build an empire, right? So let's take the Second Amendment and move it to a global macro scale instead of just a micro American issue, right? Guns level the playing field. Level the playing field. So the U.S. government would rather, at a higher cost and counterproductive to what we would want to do and what would be morally good, we don't want that. Because then potentially you would have other superpowers. We have many superpowers begin to pop up because there's billion people in every country. They can take the guns and be like, oh shit, I can do this myself. I can make these, right? And then now all of a sudden you have an entire armed globe and there is no American empire. And that's the goal. The empirical state. Guns level the playing field. That's why the Second Amendment is so important here in this country, because it levels the playing field. You got a gun, I got a gun. Now we're neutral. Now we're neutral. But then you can't become an empire that way. But neutrality doesn't breed empirical success.
Just a touch base on the whole moral duty thing that I said earlier, because I know there was probably a thought that to be morally doesn't care and it's all about money. No, the idea is to be morally bankrupt and only care about the money. The idea is to, in a free market mentality, apply your money and resources in the way that you, the individual, feel it needs to. Again, goes to World War I, World War II, had mercenaries over there, we had American people, not soldiers, people, volunteers go over and fight these wars because they understood it for the greater good. They should have sworn and whatever forces. There should be nothing wrong with it. There is, legally, you can, but there should be nothing wrong with you going over and saying, I'm going to help fight for this cause, because I believe in it. There should be nothing wrong with I'm going to give money to this cause, because that's what I believe in. So it's not, when I say it's not our moral duty to fight these fights, I mean physically fight these fights. I don't mean don't take a moral stand. Absolutely take a moral stand. I'm the first guy to take a moral stand. But do it the way you want to do it, and not the way you're going to have to do it.
Do you think mercenaries are wrong? They're going to the wrong country, right? Go back to the Revolutionary War, look at the mercenaries that came over here from Germany and France. The funding would be brought to help fight the Revolutionary War. Right? Was it okay then? To be okay then?
Yeah, and actually most of the people in the fight were here as a late things, they don't private contractors.
Yeah.
Like, it's the same argument with the roads. Like, you took the government away or nobody pay taxes, who will build the roads? Same people that build them now. You just cut out the middleman and coach you at a cheaper cost. Private contractors build the roads. Private contractors build the roads. They're the ones doing the fighting right now. We're about to send more private contractors over there right now. And they're going to be killing people. Hopefully they're terrorists. And they'll be a much more effective job at doing it than drone striking children, weddings, and bombing hospitals. I feel like I'm the only one that's going to talk about this.
No, I think we're doing well. Are we doing okay now? Yeah?
Yes.
Any questions? We're going to check them. I think we kind of exhausted the topic of Afghanistan and where our military is now. We are all pretty much in consensus that that's wrong. And that we would prefer to be just kind of protect our nation on neutral, kind of Switzerland. I think it's pretty common. I always hear eventually the Nazis would have taken over and invaded America. They could try. They're not going to. They wouldn't.
Never. There's not a country on this earth, not one, that would step in the soil and then again, it's a very good argument that you literally don't have to have one single U.S. soldier outside of this country. And we would still be probably safer than we are now. Not one country stepping foot here. Not one.
They also have a big issue, in my opinion, of a lot of funding and sending weapons to areas that we don't actually physically intervene in. Is that a military issue? Is that a congressional issue?
That's good.
That's largely. I mean,
Yeah.
you look at the Secretary of Defense right now. I can't remember his name. Board member for Raytheon, where we all got that whenever the Raytheon board member was given the Secretary of Defense position. So that now Raytheon is selling weapons directly to other countries through Secretary of Defense of the United States of America. Should never happen at all. But I think that's primarily where we see that is that level of corruption exists. And even there could be something said that it's an undeniable level of corruption, weapons manufacturers exist. And as long as we're not sending U.S. troops over there, if they want to make money by selling weapons to these countries, go for it. That's
Yeah, we pick specific regimes or countries that might actually inflame a conflict that, just been two tribes throwing rocks at each other, and have one of the tribes that
Right. I think the issue there is that, like I said, the politicians get involved, right? And they say, well, you're allowed to sell to these guys, but not to these guys over here. So they funnel the money to their weapons whatever. And then they come around and they shake us down and, collect their taxes and shovel that at the weapons provider and say, hey, we're going to buy, $10 million worth of whatever from you. And then they wonder, it's going to be cultural exchange program, I don't know. But we're going to write it off somehow and ship it over to where we want it to be. And I mean, that's the issue. Again, you've got people people basically say, no, it's too much profit to, just like you said, inflame some conflict over here to get, why don't you and him fight, right? And, listen, that guy across the margin is calling you dirty. What was that? Okay, that guy across the margin is calling you dirty. So, there's, removing that capability, that responsibility from our government, right, would take us away from that. If we said, government, you're not allowed to tell people who they can and cannot exchange information. You're not allowed to tell people who is and who isn't allowed to get their weapon. You're not allowed to tell people where they put their money or their interest or even lay down their life if they decide to go to sports, right? If you take that away from them, they no longer have the ability to run these conflicts and get this divide going, right? And the world becomes a more peaceful place because Joe Jordan is really like from out. People would much rather trade. I would much rather buy a beer than get into a fight. And one is really easy and a lot of fun, and the other one just isn't, right? So you need one of these people pushing you into something in order for there to be a conflict. You start getting rid of that pressure, and there's conflicts can go that way, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've had a lot of people disagree with this, but my personal belief that over the last 50 plus years, a lot of our military conflicts have been based on proxy war with Russia. Can't let Russia sell their resources here, can't let Russia ally with this, and stuff like that. Is it something that you guys believe in?
That and a lot of our country's weapons production and sales are specific targets of counter-Russian mentality. Yes, there's absolutely I would say a subtle war between America and Russia that has been going on, and communism in general. Korea was essentially China. North Korea was backed by China the entire time. We have this kind of communism versus democracy thing happening throughout the world. But again, it comes back to the idea of if it's happening in Poland, and I'm not condoning atrocities, but it's not our fight. It's just not. We need to work on what we're doing here. Because what we're doing here is broken. And that's kind of my thought. Like, yes, it's happening. I don't believe it should be happening, but if it weren't happening, like I get this actually pretty meeting to the Republicans and Democrats on both sides whenever I talk about this. If America wasn't intervening, if we did take a non-interventionist mentality, we would be overrun by communism eventually. But I don't believe that's true if we truly isolated the way we could and we should. I'm not full isolation, still have free trade, still have interactions with the rest of the world, but allowing the rest of the world to exist and not be in their business while maintaining what we need to do here appropriately. I think we could essentially kind of curb communist state. And then just allow people to see that you allow the people to see that democracy thrives. Economically speaking, democracy and the free market thrives. They're going to look at what Americans do and they're going to say, we need to do that. So you don't need to stop by force, but you stop itself by burning.
I think what you've effectively seen for a while now in the system is kind of a Cold War. You know what I mean? Russia is kind of in a Cold War. There's absolutely some validity to what we do in the Middle East in regards to defense of Russian attack, right? Because that's a very real thing. And I understand that everybody is a Christian or Bible believing, but this actually is in the Bible. Right? Russia, as you mentioned, in Afghanistan and the Middle East, the conflict there with China, that's all in there. And so if that's the case, you don't have to believe the Bible and understand that those people that are fighting that war over there, that's a holy war to them. So it's still applicable, even if you don't believe it. Right? So the Bible and the Quran share the first topic, right? It's the same, the Torah and the Pentateuch. And these people wholeheartedly believe that this is how it's going to play out. So whether you believe it or not, Even if you can prove atheism correct today, it doesn't change the narrative because it's a holy war. And the reason that I like to say that I think that I know the reason that Russia wants to be involved so deeply in that scenario is because of what they could eventually do to the United States and to China. You cannot forget about China.
I don't believe that. I believe that Russia is looking out for your best interest.
Yeah, that's involved.
We want to stop Russia taking care of as far as treaties. I mean, what happened in Syria, Ukraine, and all that stuff. A lot of that is Russia trying to make resources and have pipelines in Europe and stuff like that. Resources, we block that. I don't think Russia has intentions towards the United States. If we show all these resources and allies with these countries, then we can take over the United States. I think that's a mental problem for our country, that we think Russia is out to get us. You know, why not let Russia be as successful as they can and sell their resources all over the world?
I think there's a little bit of a fallacy there, right? When you talk about, I don't think Russia's out to get us. I think you're absolutely right, because it's not Russia. If you go to China, I've been there 3 times, knocking on doors. I love the Chinese people. If you go to France, love the French people. Go to Russia, you love the Russian people, right? It's not the problem with the people. It's a problem with the government.
Right, the government.
It is somebody who's decided, as like you said, but you and him fight, because if you two fight, then I can advance and I can take advantage of it. I don't think that we see, if we were to have much less government and much more freedom, not just in the United States, but across the world, we would see a lot less conflict, because instead of being pushed into a fight and, this is for national, they're standing on our chunk of dirt and we need to go get that chunk of dirt back, right? We would have people going, you know what? I really like the asparagus you brought on that chunk of dirt. Would you like to trade it for some oil we got on our chunk of dirt, right? And the peaceful trade is always a win. It's a win. By definition, it's a win-win. I get asparagus, you get oil, we're all happy. So, I think we want to keep an eye on the fact that it's not the people that are the problem. It's the governments.
Right. Yeah, and speaking to that, that's kind of, I don't believe that their intentions are honest. I cannot believe that the Russian government by their intentions are just to make their country safer. They're doing the same thing we're doing. They want their imperialists. They want to be the superpower. They want to be the empire that we currently are. We are. We're still
What
there.
does that mean to be a superpower?
It means to be the force to be reckoned with. You are the
The
dude.
primary influence throughout the world as
You know, that doesn't affect us in this sort of way. We're not the primary force.
But that's what their end goal would be.
Right, but Germany's not the primary force in the world. Absolutely successful and a good life for Germany,
Give that much more docile leadership.
But,
Vladimir Putin is not. He is an absolute
so,
dictator.
what's Putin's mission in life? Is he going to take over?
To make Russia the number one
Tell us
country.
we can't be free if we allow him to have enough power?
No, I think he would unrelentingly do whatever it took to make Russia the superpower at the behest of whatever the cost was to every other country on the
So if
planet.
you believe that, then a lot of these proxy wars are important.
They're what?
A lot of the proxy wars are important if you believe that Putin's actually going to.
I would debate that you can understand that Russia has a desire, as they have for the past 100 years or so, to be the superpower in the world. They've been pushing for this for a while, but realistically, and we've done proxy wars to try and stem that. But I don't think that the proxy wars and them wanting to be the superpower need to be war. I think they want to be the superpower. That's absolutely their goal. They want to reform the Soviet Union. Putin has said that very clearly. He has no qualms about saying he wants to build Russia into its previous war, which is imperialistic. That's his goal. Poland, Ukraine, he wants all of that back, and he's still pushing to take that back, or they're actually respecting. But if we were to But to stop that, we don't necessarily need to do proxy war.
Well, these proxy wars also deplete you and make it more likely for them to be the superpower. You know?
Right. And when we are destroying ourselves, in essence, with the proxy war. So I would say, yes, Russia does absolutely want to be a superpower, but no, we don't need to do proxy wars to stop it. And again, I think it's just a lead by example mentality, and people underestimate the leadership consistently throughout.
When a dictator of Syria is trying to ally with Russia to build a pipeline to sell natural resources to Europe, do we not intervene with the dictator, or do we try to overthrow the dictator in our weird, shady way and involve the war?
You need a long
There's such a situation if we're agreeing that Russia, that we're in proxy war.
But getting into it, proxy wars are one of those things that are, you've heard that expression, right? You have a hammer, everything else over there. We've got a military. We've already discussed that. We've got a military, we're going to use it. Hey, we got a few 100,000 soldiers, we can throw into this over here. We've got the CIA, they're used to doing covert operations. Why do we have these if we're not going to use them? And the truth of the matter is, I think there's probably a lot of these situations where we find ourselves in proxy wars where we are being suckered. We don't realize it. Not because like, oh, hey, we're going to beat you in this, but you know what? We would rather fight you than deal with you economically. We would rather fight you than deal with you politically. Right? So we're basically engaging people on the most basic other countries on the most basic terms, and basically letting them set the rules. We're going to fight a proxy war here, and instead of us going, you know what, you're going to build that pipeline, that's fantastic. Hey, this country right next to you, how about we fund a pipeline, a bigger, better, stronger, more efficient pipeline over here? How about we throw money into solar or renewables, right? And figure out how to work on fusion technology or something. There are plenty of ways that we can
Build a bigger building instead of destroying it.
right. We can find a way. I think Reagan actually, when he fought the Soviet Union, one of the big things that came out of his transparency, we basically outspent them. We collapsed their economy. In a way that they couldn't ignore. That was part of the reason for Glasnost and the whole all coming down in the cracks of the Soviet Union. We didn't fight them toe-to-toe militarily because I'll be really honest with you, having been in the military study, the weapon system, some of those, I would not have wanted to go to war with them on a toe-to-toe basis. We would have hurt. We would have won, but it would have hurt. So we kind of sidestepped, let them by, and then we destroy the economy. There are ways for us to accomplish our goals as a country, as a society, and even politically, that don't involve guns and bullets and gas and weapons.
Yeah, you could actually, and I think you made a good point about it earlier in regards to the proxy wars with Russia and what's going on over there. You could let Russia do that thing, and go do the thing, right? And it has no bearing or effect on us. If we were abiding by the Constitution, right, and we had our troops here, and Russia did that thing, there's no reason for us to get involved and use that as a boogeyman, even though he is being the boogeyman. He's still being the boogeyman, but it doesn't matter. It's not our issue, because we would still freely trade with the rest of the world and still dominate. We wouldn't have to, even though we know they have malicious intent. The reason we get to intervene is because we are also being imperialistic. And we also are selling these wars as we do every type of tyranny under the guise of safety. Right? It's like, ooh, look at this thing that's really bad and really scary, and it can come back to get us. So we need to intervene. All reality is we could let Russia do that with Syria, and yes, there would be some destruction over there, not on us. And then we could freely trade with the rest of the world. No, that's going to set the U.S. dollar still. What are they going to do? Really looking at that there's no reason to fight the proxy war, even though Russia is the boogeyman.
Because we could fight the war economically and still slaughter everybody else and never fire a shot.
All we have to do is continue to exist in the means by which we should have to begin, which is free market, which is economically prosperous, which is creating and generating businesses utilizing the natural resources that are abundant all over America. America's rich with every type of natural resource we could ever want. We have it.
I think it would actually benefit us to let them go waste their young men's lives and their economy in those wars instead of wasting ours, you know?
Ultimately, too, and we're thinking about that right now. We have a weapon that nobody else in the world has. We have the idea of liberty and the idea of freedom. We prosper when we let people live free. You look at where we are as a country, we're here because essentially we had no brakes, we had no government, holding us back for 150 years, 200 years. Right? It's only recently that we've got this experiment with big government and big government regulations and books that stack up to here that you can't really understand what's in them, trying to regulate your life. We have freedom. If we had a free country, if we had a free, prosperous country, if we had, we're doing civilian space shots now. We're getting towards flying cars. We're getting towards fusion energy and battery-powered everything, right? AI, making your life, paradise on earth, right? We're getting to all this. We have all this. And we go to somebody and we say, you know what? You could have this too. Why don't we talk about some of the things that your government's been doing to your people that maybe if you backed off on this, you'd be willing to share it with them. We're willing to make you prosperous, and here's all we ask is that you, in return, relinquish some of the power that you think you have right now. And let your people love you instead of fear. We have that capability, and unfortunately, we've lost it because we've lost our way. We've forgotten it. We didn't really think about it. No. We just need to lead the world in a true leadership posture. Yeah, we don't need to be the biggest kid in the school, though. We just have to be the best. And that's what America should be, it could be, if we didn't have a myriad of government regulations stop us. We don't need to fight militarily. We can fight ideologically by simply being what we are. We already win. There's no loss for us. Because they can't invade us. They can't beat us economically. They can't produce more than us. We're going to be a shining example for the rest of the world. This is what we should be. This is what we've got right now. Yeah.
We are the superpower that is
Right. We have the best standard of living in the world. In the history of the world, we have the best standard of living ever. Right? Or usually, in the last several years. But I think both of y'all have just landed with phenomenal points. So that's what I was actually going back to that. It's exactly like what he was saying was if you lead by example, right? Liberty sells itself. If a country doesn't want it, you are not going to impose it on them. Not by force. They can want to adopt your principles when we show them by leading by example. This is what a free democracy and open trade form looks like. And we can, if we had again, I think the best way of explaining it is with the open borders, which is open trade. Right? If we remove all these laws, international trading laws, then you would have a country like Taiwan say, hi, America, hey, we like your guns. And I'll adopt your principles. And you never have to step foot in that country. Next thing you know, they're arming their citizens. They're saying, your citizens, buy some guns. Now we've armed the public. Because they recognize that the defense that we have against the boogeyman is our existence, is the manner in which we exist, which is our culture. That culture, that point of our culture
our defense. So once other countries kind of pick up on that, they're going to arm their citizens. They're going to say, we don't need to oppress you. We need to enable you. And then they will. And then Russia's not standing on that. Then the boogeyman is a problem because, we all follow Abraham, right? He's still in where he didn't have it. They're going to take care of the boogeyman. And we can allow the world to do that so that we don't have to by simply just being us. And that's really what I think the military role in America should be. We got out all over the tangent and just take care of America and let America be America, and we win. We don't need to have a military presence anywhere else. We already win.
Okay, so John was gonna say we got 5 minutes, so anybody else, any last questions, comments, suggestions, curiosities?
Anybody? Not named.
I just think sometimes, man, we were in Afghanistan for 20 years, and everything we accomplished there was wiped out in a week, Imagine if all the money we spent there was instead invested into our country, into our education system, and our healthcare system, whatever.
Not taken from us.
Yeah, or that. That'd be nice, though.
Then we the free market, power of the dollar. Now Americans are spending the money the way they want, and we're building up the businesses we want.
That was trillions of dollars,
And the funny thing about it too is, and I'm guilty of this, right? I think that I'm going to set the example for myself and set the example. I want to stop thinking that we lost all of this stuff, right? Like, look at all the trillions of dollars we lost. Look at we lost it all in a week. We never had it. That's the thing. That's the Afghanistan papers, is that we kept funneling money into a situation that we actually knew we were never going to win in the first place.
Yeah.
We did it anyway. And so what we had that was never attainable.
Well, those people are they're never gonna work with you when they know you're gonna leave eventually, and the Taliban's still gonna be there.
We're gonna have to deal with that. We're gonna have to deal with that. No matter how you feel, you could be Republican, Democrat, Libertarian. No matter how you feel about the last 20 years, what happened over the last 21 days is absolutely detrimental to foreign policy and our allies. And we're gonna have the price to pay for what we just do.
Facts. Absolutely. We've set ourselves up into such a hole right now as far as the massive amount of debt we have, the hyperinflation that we have, and now burning bridges with our allies in a way that is irreversible. We are beyond our toes. Be aware that eventually the perfect storm happens. Maybe the circumstances aren't always right, but eventually that perfect storm happens. We are advancing with the devil here.
That was go off on that because they said there were 5 minutes left, and I can just hammer about what's happened over the last 3 weeks and how detrimental it's going to be, not just to Afghanistan, but allies, women, children, the United States of America, our relationship with foreign allies. I mean, just the President of the United States didn't answer a phone call from the Prime Minister even for 40 hours. Who does that? That is horrible. Gotta have that glass of milk in that one, I guess.
You probably forgot how to use a phone, man.
I mean, have you ever? Anyway, yeah.
What's that sound?
Unreal. I've never seen anything like this in my life.
So if I can summarize what I heard from you guys, is obviously the military intervention is way too fast, but there is a place for our military. But the real thing is we can fight a lot of these proxy wars and everything else by leading by example and pushing what is successful for us on an economic level instead of on a military level.
Yes, yeah. You can fight it economically, right? So here's the great point. The great point I wanted to make earlier, right? When we did the whole Iraq thing. Everybody was like, where are the weapons of mass destruction? Well, we know they have them. We sold them to them, right? Where are they right now? I don't know what to tell you. But as we know they have them, we gave them to them, right? Hey, if that's what you want to do, you want to trade weapons with that country, that's fine. But don't go marching into the country talking about their threat to the United States, and they were never a threat to the United States. And also don't tell me that we didn't sell them weapons of mass destruction, right? We know we had it, right?
I would say the idea is we shouldn't be putting economic sanctions on other countries. That's not our business. If we choose as a business, chooses not to trade with the company because that we are an American, then that's on that business. If they choose to trade with that the country, then that's again on that business. Get the government out of the market. I think that's a kind of given principle for all of us here. Terrorists? Terrorists.
Well, I mean, look, tariffs hurt us. The American citizen. Tariffs hurt the American citizen. China. China's not hurting because Trump put sanctions on China. That's another thing. It's not existent. The tariff hurts the trade, foreign trade of the average everyday American citizen. But I also don't like the binary option either. I'm going to go a different route. I always try to. You could just make the decision to whatever is economically best for our country. And what happens to them is just a byproduct of what falls into place. We're economically sanctioned. We don't need to sanction anyone economically. All we need to do is make a business decision to benefit the American economy and let the chips fall on it. It would need to be, yes, no violence.
Or at least not U.S. military war. Private industry wants to go to war.
Business. That's exactly right. You're not going to find any shortage of Americans who are well trained and well armed to say, hey, I'll go knock heads with theirs. You send me. You pay me a pile of money, I'll go watch over the black hell and shoot everyone. You can have 3,000 former Marines and former Army vets over there now. Handle the whole country. Handle business. Not one active duty member that's accepted. But that isn't it again. It all comes down to the intentionality. Right? And the intention is to do it. And there's no way of escaping this thought, right? No matter how you shake it, the end goal is to be in the empire. That's why we make stupid-ass decisions, even at the cost of American citizens, American lives, and innocent people.
Hey, where are you? You good? Not karaoke? Karaoke. You just smoke that.